In the last video, we added some changes to present the job page and the entry job page as full screen dialogues. However, we have discovered a bug because when we try to add or edit an entry and dismiss the page, then we are taken back to the jobs page rather than the previous one where we came from. And this is a strange bug that has to do with the way Flutter rebuilds widgets when new routes are pushed. And to understand this better, we need to open the landing page. And here I'm going to add a couple of print statements that I will use to find out when this widget is rebuilt. So here I'm going to add a print which will say build, like this. And also inside the stream builder code, I can add a print. And here I'm going to print $snapshot, like this. And then I'm going to open the console, and then I'm going to hot reload like this. And what I can see is that I get a console log that says build, and this is followed by two lines with a sync snapshot, and the first one as a connection state of waiting, and the second one as a connection state of active. So this is what happens when the application is hot reloaded. And this log is already giving us a clue as to why we are taken back to the jobs page when we hot reload from the job entries page. And the reason for this is that when we get a connection state of waiting, then we are returning this circular progress indicator rather than the home page. And what this means is that when we hot reload, then the home page is temporarily removed from the widget tree, and then a new one is created when we get a connection state of active. And this explains why the navigation stack is reset, because if the home page is removed, then all the state of its children is lost. But this is not a big problem if it only happens when we hot reload, because hot reload is only useful when debugging, but doesn't really happen in production. However, we do have a problem when we present and dismiss the entry page, because this also triggers a new rebuild of this page. And as we can see, new lines were added, and one of them had a connection state of waiting, and the navigation stack was lost as a result. So the next question is, why is the landing page rebuilt in the first place when we perform some navigation? And the answer has to do with the way we use this provider over here. Because when we use provider like this, something interesting happens under the hood. And that is that we are registering the landing page as a listener so that it is rebuilt when an ancestor widget changes. And what we can do instead is to pass a listen argument with a value of false to this provider, to specify that we don't want the landing page to rebuild when the parent changes. And after making this change, we are going to hot restart just to make sure that the app is reloaded. And then I'm going to clear the console. And then if I go to this page and I show a new entry and I dismiss it as well, I can see that I only get snapshots with a connection state of active. But the landing page itself is not rebuilt when the navigation takes place. So the bottom line here is that when we call provider of and we pass a listen argument of false, then we are reducing the number of rebuilds that take place in our application. And this can help us solving a certain class of bugs that have to do with how Flutter rebuilds the widget tree when navigation takes place. And if I have to be completely honest with you, I'm not 100% sure of how this all works internally. But as a general rule, I tend to use provider with listen of false if I want to minimize rebuilds. And this is an okay thing to do here because the object being provided is an authentication service class and not something like a value notifier that requires a rebuild when the value changes. Okay, so I can now remove these print lines. And let's continue on the next video.